Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the start of our new academic year for 22-23. Here just to talk very briefly about our teaching and learning priorities for this academic year. And as you can see in front of you, our teaching and learning programme is built around this idea of inspiration, challenge and progress. And certainly the strong results that we got last year show that we are making progress in terms of the academic results that our youngsters are getting. The challenges are still there and are still growing. We know that we have lots of groups of youngsters that need adaptive teaching used with them. So we have our Ukrainian students, we have our Somalian students, we have our Syrian students, all that are with us at this moment in time, to which there is a barrier to their learning, and that's the English language. We also know that we've got a large intake of SEN identified youngsters, and we're working specifically with them. Alongside that, we've also got the challenges of Launchpad and those youngsters that are educated off our main site. How do we integrate those youngsters back in to our particular curriculums? How do we ensure that they're not missing out on teaching and learning experience? Now, we've recruited over the summer term, and we've got what we believe to be the best staff possible to us coming in. So it's great to see the new staff that are with us at this moment in time. And this year is very much about developing within our faculties, within our departments, and identifying what we can do within departments. So this year there's been much more time devoted to departmental meetings, departmental insets, which will all be driven by you as a departmental team, as you within a group. Now, our teaching and learning program is called the Map Master Move Forward program. Now, Map Master Move Forward program is a program that was developed by Carpenter from New Zealand, and the idea is that within that program that we're identifying 5 curriculum levers: relationships, community, transparent curriculum, metacognition and space. Now, we worked really hard on that relationship element as those students came back into us last academic year, and we'll continue to work with those. We've started to identify this idea of metacognition through NeuroNinja as a way of ensuring that youngsters are not solely reliant on the teacher telling them everything, but understanding their own specific learning needs, understanding the way in which they learn. Now, it's important to recognise that we could change these words, Map Master Move Forward, to intent, implementation and impact. And you'll recognise that language from the Ofsted language. And we can't hide from the fact that it's been a long time since we have been Ofsteded. So we do anticipate Ofsted coming this academic year. So ensuring that we are continually mapping, continually looking at where these youngsters are on their journeys, ensuring that they're mastering the content in order to move forwards to learn new content is really important to us. We also know that as well as adaptive teaching being our focus for the year, we've also got a focus on literacy. So Carolyn Sims-Evans, who is the literacy coach, has been driving forward this idea of Word of the Week, which will be introduced through the tutorial program as well as NeuroNinja, as well as our Connect Space activities that we've got moving forwards. Last year, when we came back into a full curriculum here at school, we very much started with this idea of creating routines with the youngsters, and we need to persist with that. We need to recognise that actually we've not been in school. The youngsters haven't been in school 5.5, 6 weeks by the time that they come back to us. And it's important that we re-teach. We don't just state, we re-teach the types of behaviours that we want to see from the youngsters. So being a true learner, we need to be ready to learn, and being ready to learn before we cross the threshold to the classroom. So the Ready to Learn program was used when we came back from the lockdowns, when we came back from the pandemic, and these should be posters that are prominent outside your classroom doors, that as classroom teachers that we are meeting those youngsters, not in the classroom, not at the whiteboard, but at the door, making sure that they do not cross the threshold unless they're ready to learn. And the ready to learn principles are in front of you now. So the true principles: time management, respect, uniform and equipment. And they're questions. How do we ensure that we are properly ready to learn? Adaptive teaching then is our big focus moving forwards, and it was very much the same as last year. And it's this idea of teaching one lesson to the whole class. I'll repeat that: teaching one lesson to the whole class, rather than trying to teach 31 different lessons, or in fact probably 32 now, different lessons to the 32 different youngsters that we have in front of us. And we do that through these 5 principles of explicit instruction. I'm going to teach you what it is that you need to do. I'm going to state it very obviously what it is that you want to do. This idea of scaffolding, teaching to the top, providing scaffolded work that allow all youngsters to onboard at their appropriate level. It doesn't mean that everyone has to use the scaffolding, but everyone has access to that scaffolding. The metacognition strategies, understanding how we learn, understanding how we move forward, is really important to us. Use of flexible groupings within the classrooms. Well, we know it's very fascinating looking at tweets online at how different schools are facing different issues. How many staff classroom have just gone back to rows? Do we need to change those groupings around? Do we need to allow more creativity in the classroom? And then this idea of technology. How do we use technology to increase seating time? And that's very much something that I talked about 3 years ago. How do we increase the seating time of our youngsters? How do we increase their access to learning? So how do we use technology to do that? Our metacognition program is very much being developed in association with our mental health and well-being strategy as a school, and it's via the Action Your Potential program. So the Action Your Potential program is very much about this building a neuro ninja, and will be run through 1 session a week in tutorial time. But we mustn't forget about that as classroom teachers. We all need to know, what are those 12 rocks of well-being? What is metacognition all about? How do I use those principles and refer to those principles explicitly in my lessons, so that we're reinforcing the learning and the understanding for the youngsters that we have in front of us, whether they are Key Stage 3, Key Stage 4, or in fact Key Stage 5. Now, our CPD for the year, we need to recognise that there are some financial restrictions in place. Not only do we have the increase in teacher pay that we have to try to find the funding for, but we've also seen a massive change in heating bills, electricity bills, fuel costs, etc. So we do need to recognise that will impact on different areas of the school. And one of the things that we can start to use more is this idea of using the National College site for some of our CPD, but also the walk-through program that's very much being developed through the coaches, but also through the faculties. And every faculty last year was presented with the walkthrough 1, the walkthrough 2 program. Well, this year I'm giving you the walkthrough 3 as well. So these 3 books are very much a bit like the TLAC, Teach Like a Champion. This idea of different resources that we can use as teachers, different pedagogical skills that we can use to really dig down and develop our teaching practice further. I was fascinated when I read Doug Lemoff's Teach Like a Champion about his idea of practicing giving out handouts, ensuring that really took as minimal time in a lesson as possible. I know from my experience as a PE teacher, one of the things that I had a bit of a bugbear about was about how long youngsters spent in the changing rooms. So we used to practice getting changed within 3 minutes. And we get them out and we go back in and we practice again and again and again. And it's those types of routines that are really important if we want to make the most of our teaching time moving forwards. Now, the walkthrough program very much works around this idea of adapt. And it's this idea of attempt, develop, change, and adapt what's going on. Then we're going to practice it. Then we're going to test. what we're doing? Is it having an impact? And that's the big thing about adaptive teaching. How do we know it's having an impact in our classrooms? Are we checking that it's having an impact within the classrooms? CPD opportunities again this year are very similar to last year. We still have what was called the ECF program running. It's a new program, so we don't have NQTs anymore. We have ECTs, that's early career teachers. So we're in our second year of that. So we've got three teachers who are in their second year of the ECF program, and we've got one member of staff who's starting the program. So they have very structured instructional coaching taking place from a mentor who meets regularly with them. Our in-house program is going to be through the walk through us, but we've also still have access, and I'd very much recommend this to anyone who isn't on board yet, to the MPQ programs. So we still have free access to that as members of staff. Now there is a cost for us because we have to cover teachers who are out of school, but in terms of the cost of actually doing the course, it is free. Now, realistically, the deadline for some of these courses is going to be about the middle of September. So if you are interested in doing any of the MPQs that are available, please either see myself or speak to Austin, and we can put you onto the various different pathways that are available for you to use for those programs. And that hopefully is a whistle-stop tour of where we're at with teaching and learning this year. I look forward to seeing you round and about in the school. Thank you very much.